Hey, Chris Middleton here with Make Taxes Fair, and I'm here today. I'm live, unscripted, so the ums and ahs and all that's going to be in here. But here today to talk about the what we call at Make Taxes Fair the Clear Edge framework, and specifically on the Clear Edge framework, we're going to be talking about the pillars. Told you I'm live and unscripted. The pillars of deduction optimization and getting organized. So this video, if you're watching this, is part of our Launchpad series that we host inside of our school communities. You can find more about that at maketaxesfair.com/community. And the goal of this Launchpad series is to really help people get a good foundation of tax savings. And if you're paying $50,000 or less in taxes, you need help to get yourself financial house and tax house in order. So here we go. Talking about the Clear Edge framework, right? I'm going to share my screen and kind of walk you through the Clear Edge framework as a whole. The pillars of tax planning are credit optimization, tax credits you could and should be taking advantage of, legal structure and how that impacts your taxes, employees, how employees, fringe benefits, if you're an employee of your own company, how that impacts you tax-wise, accumulation of wealth and retirement planning, two similar but different topics or pillars, exit planning, how to exit either a highly appreciated asset and or a business, and how to do those in a tax efficient way. And then deduction optimization and getting organized. So deduction optimization, making sure that you're able to deduct everything that you're legally and ethically allowed to deduct. And then getting organized and how that impacts your taxes and ultimately obtaining efficiency, right? So deduction optimization and getting organized. Let's talk about those. They're kind of hand in hand, right? Because to optimize your deductions, you really got to be kind of have your proverbial crap together. You really need to be organized. And years ago, I was called, a radio station called my office and said, "Hey, it's almost April 15th. What tax tips do you have?" And this was probably almost 20 years ago. And I said, then I said, "Hey, look, this is not a sexy answer, but getting organized. Like if you're a business owner, having your books and records pulled together is going to do more tax savings wise than anything. And here's why. If you're organized and are able to say, here's my profit and loss, my income and expenses on a month by month, quarter by quarter, year by year basis, you're going to be able to see where you're spending money and where your business is needing to pull resources to operate, to function, to expand, and to grow. And so getting organized is really the linchpin to understanding your deductions and where you're naturally spending money. And getting organized is really the linchpin for proper tax planning. It's not a sexy answer. Tax planning, everybody wants to know, what do I do to save money on taxes? Get your house in order, because that gives us the ability as tax professionals and tax strategy experts to really say, hey, here's where you're heading income-wise, gross income, net income, and based on the level that you're at and where we project your income to be, here are the right appropriate levers to pull in your business to optimize your taxes. So getting organized does leaps and bounds for helping you optimize your taxes. Again, it's not the sexy answer. People don't want to hear that. But the hard, boring truth is this. The big companies, the big players in the world, the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Best Buy, all these companies, Pfizer, doesn't matter the industry or the niche that you're in, getting organized and understanding your inflow and your outflow is absolutely imperative to optimizing and starting that conversation of optimizing. So with that, I want you to kind of take that to heart. If you are the bookkeeper in your business, you really need to examine, is that the highest and best use of your time? And should there be somebody else involved in that activity? If not, if you're like, no, I'm not ready to give that up, then dedicate some time. And I'll leave you with this story. I helped a gentleman years ago. His name was Steve. Steve lived in LA, and he was a real estate commercial real estate broker. Steve was a flying solo fella. He didn't have any assistants. It was just him. The dude never made less than 1.2 million net profit, right? He never made less than 1.2 million net profit in all the time that I worked with him. And Steve, every time I asked him for something, Steve had it to me like within an hour. The guy was so incredibly organized. One day I said, Steve, how do you do it? Like you don't have an assistant. How do you always like have the reports I need and the data that I'm asking you for like so quick? And he said, Chris, here's the deal. Every Wednesday from 9 to noon, I do all the garbage that I hate to do in my business. He didn't say garbage. He said something else, but we'll keep it G-rated. He said, I do all the things that I hate to do in my business. So my bookkeeping, my receipt scanning, all my admin type stuff. That's when I do all that stuff that I just don't like to do. And I said, oh, that's amazing. Okay. And he said, and here's the other secret that people don't talk about. He's a commercial real estate broker. So if somebody calls him and says, hey, Steve, I need to see you at this property. Can I meet you at this property at 10 a.m. on Wednesday? Here's what Steve would do. Wild. He would pull out his device, his calendar, his phone, and he'd say, let me check. I'm committed to somebody at that time. He didn't say, oh, that's my admin block. I do all this stuff. He didn't say any of that. He just said, I've got a commitment that I need to keep at that time. And that really, he said, if you take the power back, if you treat yourself with the same integrity that you treat a client, he said, you will get that done. You treat yourself with that same integrity. He didn't make excuses. Oh, this is when I do that. And then people, oh, well, you can do that later, right? No, he said, I'm going to do it then, and I'm going to keep myself organized. So he said, if I'm busy at 10, but you know what? The earliest I'm available that day, I could do it at 1 o'clock. Can you do it at 1? No, that won't work for me. Okay, well, my next morning, if you're looking for a morning, I could do Tuesday. We do Thursday. I've got the 10. Like he would shuffle the deck in that way. So the bottom line is when you start to treat yourself, your business, with the same integrity that you treat your clients, your spouse, your family, others, you will start to see the benefits of getting organized. And I think that these principles apply universally, like to our health, to our mental health, whatever that might be. But in context of your taxes, in context of getting organized and be able to optimize your deductions and optimize your life from a tax perspective, I think that was a really powerful but real life example. I'm forever grateful to Steve. He retired. He's like, I'm hanging it up and moved on, but really grateful for the time that I was able to work with him and all of our clients here at Make Taxes Fair. So if you found this valuable, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is part of one of many in our Launchpad series for Make Taxes Fair in our community. Friends don't let friends overpay the government, as we like to say. So if you found this helpful and you'd like more information, check it out in our community at maketaxesfair.com/community. And if you found this helpful, send it to a friend and use that friend maybe as your accountability partner to say, hey, we're going to set up every Wednesday from 9 to noon. And that's going to be my admin hour. Do you want to join me in that? And let's keep each other accountable. Gamify it. Find a way to have an accountability partner. There's another element to Steve's story that he would do that with his wife. He would report to her and say, hey, honey, every Wednesday I'm going to do this. And if I'm caught up at the end of the month, I've got nothing to do for that month in my admin time, he would book an extra round of golf. They love to golf together, which I thought was amazing. I was like, you do that together, and that's great. So she was always hounding him. Hey, Steve, have you gotten that done? Have you gotten that done? Are we going to be able to book an extra tea time this month? Because she was excited about that, and that was his reward and motivation to stay on target, to stay organized. I hope this is helpful. Thank you for being here. Make it a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.